He was raised by his older sister, famed as the world's strongest warrior. He thought of his sister, more beautiful than anyone and dearly loved. Alone in the woods, he practiced his sword swings. She reminds that to be an adventurer one must master feats like this, and she swings her blade and cleaves the boulder. She curses rock, refuses to cut at this rate. She can't become an adventurer, she must split it in two with one strike like Rose. He watches his sister carve massive stone like clay, her everyday power revealing the wonder of adventurers. Saying okay then, he adjusts his stance and strides into the forest, sword at his side. A voice announces the next training session. Instructor says an adventurer must manage this much. Student nods understanding. He stared in awe at the fallen dragon, speared and chained. His sister made this look effortless. She cries out in fear as she's yanked forward. She exclaims joyfully that adventurers really are the best. He lives with his sister in the middle of nowhere. It is the two of them and her work as an adventurer keeps them comfortable. Mentor shows Nora a spear to pierce magical foes and urges her to throw it. Only she can use it to steal an enemy's magic. At her cry spirit over spear Allah, a lance of lightning cleaves the hull and sends her sprawling. The attacker clicks her tongue in frustration as her opponent dodges every strike with unexpected movements. He feared what might happen if she went all out and, unable to measure her strength, seized the moment to strike decisively. She unleashes a strike 10,000 times stronger than her previous rock smashing, sending stone fragments flying. She converts kinetic energy into flame for controlled defense, then spins a gauntleted blow that catches her rival off guard. She dials her strength down to just the right level of helplessness and wonders if this is enough. With fierce resolve she urges an extra turn, then unleashes her dragon hand Flame Emperor. She raises her arm and shouts that it's enough, halting the raging blast instantly. She gasped, "Why is it over?" as a commanding voice declared Mrs. Lean, unable to continue the battle. Rose Alien bursts in, greeting Shifa-kun. She asks if the dragon is defeated, if he is okay, and praises his adventurer training. He asked her, "Are you okay?" while wondering just how careless she had been. A draw is called. One protests why. A voice warns attacking could have killed Lean. He scoffs that firepower cannot touch her. The group stands stunned, wide-eyed and defensive as he advances on them. The hero reels, unable to believe it. The mage trembles while the cleric smiles knowingly. Below, a newcomer blinks in confusion. She demands what training his sister gave him. He insists Rose said it was normal. She walks off promising they will talk later. A soft ah escapes him as realization dawns. His sister stands before him. It seems something outrageous has happened. His brother did as he was told. Around him, everyone is stunned by his strength. She admits she doesn't really know what an adventurer is, but whenever she goes to town she sees people like that. She heard they beaten Kuga and earned promotion. The lively adventurers lit a spark in her. One day she decided to join them. The child implores Rose to let them be an adventurer. Rose freezes. The child insists they must see the world and stand alone. She kneels to his level and with a warm smile says, "All right, Shifa-kun, but if you want to be an adventurer," she warns gently. 1 year ago he still couldn't split a boulder or slay a dragon. Friends lauded his sister's feat and teased his growing crush. She presses her spear forward with fiery resolve, declaring that an adventurer must outshine all in strength. She plants her spear and demands he fight her on equal footing. Facing his sister one-on-one, he knows this is the hardest test. Now in their second year of training, the instructor unveils a trial in the terrifying valley of the Flame Emperor to Shifa-kun. They found themselves in a perilous zone brimming with terrifying monsters few non-adventurers ever dared to approach. Rose tells Shifa he must defeat every monster to become an adventurer. Shifa declares he will protect Rose instead, and she agrees. She bids him come back at nil time before sending him away. He tumbles back as a voice warns, "Avoid the valley shrine." They celebrated victory in Flame Emperor's Valley and headed to the Thundering Hills, resolved to defeat every monster with ease. From the snowy mountain of the Ice Princess to the ominous Castle of Darkness he presses on, breath ragged across the plain. He staggers through the hut and collapses outside, breathing heavily. She locks him with books, insisting knowledge equals strength. Adventurers all aim for the top. He fears superclass is too soon. She read a combat book and hesitated at sudden forbidden zones. Even top adventurers avoid. He cried out that this must be a mistake. 4 years had passed since he told his sister he wanted to be an adventurer too. His sister's words, the heaviest and most important to him, carried him until today. She gave him enough to survive as adventurer. A massive log pins down the dragon as the boy stands frozen in shock. Amid scattered books and shards the boy clenches his fist. Then she murmurs Shifa-kun with a gentle, hopeful smile. She tauntingly invites him to come closer, sword raised, promising a playful squeeze. He stands one-on-one with his sister, unsheathing his sword as the duel begins. He dives forward, sword aloft, screaming today is the day, his gaze fixed straight ahead. She told him to make it look like she was coming from there. He asked her opinion. She reassured him he could follow. He ducks just in time, cursing under his breath as he realizes the slash is coming for him again. She charges forward with sword raised, voice fierce as she vows she will not let them do it. Shifa's skill unnerves Rose for the first time and weakens her sword grip just as he pounces on a once-in-a-lifetime opening. He triumphantly blows away Rose's sword and vows to decide as things stand, leaving her rooted in stunned disbelief. They freeze as another opponent emerges. A cold voice says it is a shame and their ally calls out yes. A hero barrels through a stone wall, shattering it outward with raw force. His sister asks if he's okay. He winces, tallying another loss, doubting he's fit for adventure, and if he can ever outdo her. With a confident nod, she recognizes his resolve and grants Shifa-kun permission to pursue life as an adventurer. She never expected to draw a second sword. Laughing, she boasts of her strength and asks if he agrees. He answers in surprise. She whispers that someday she'll join him. He's taken aback. She vows to teach him magic, then they'll register as adventurers. Shifa thanks Rose with a joyful embrace. Rose pulls back in surprise as someone reminds them they are outside. Looking back, a season with her sister passed, and at 15 she already stood tall as a full-grown adult. She asked if it looked odd. He beamed and said adventuring felt too cool for shame. Finally, he was ready for his first quest. She spent time learning her sister's storage magic. Though taught diligently, mastering it was especially difficult. She arrives at the city's gates, determination in her eyes. This is the place to test every skill and lesson she's gained. Two girls stand before a majestic cathedral gate bathed in morning light. He mistakes registration for training before the guild. A teammate teases him, then pulls him inside. Paperwork is done. Now train. She waves a cheerful farewell and calls out see you later before vanishing, leaving him alone in the empty hallway. A boy gazes up with awe at the grand staircase in the vast academy hall. Shifa-kun stammers a greeting at desk. Clerk confirms his name, scolds his tardiness, and warns sister makes the center off limits. She swung open the large doors with a bright smile and urged them inside, welcoming them at last. A lone student stands at the back of a sunlit classroom of attentive pupils. Eyes flicker with tension. The teacher gestures to an empty seat in the back. He slips in, murmuring his apology for being late. A sudden strike shatters stone underfoot. He cries whoa as he vaults across the rooftop toward the girl by the railing. She humps that it feels good as he lunges an alarm warning it is dangerous, and she blurts what. Lean scolds late Shifa and orders her to sit. Shifa huffs as friends plead. She's proud and beautiful, unlike my sister. Yelena Agrain stood before the class, declared everyone present, and introduced herself as their new adventurer instructor. Yelena Agrain steps in greeting the class. Students stare in awe, wondering if she is the famed superclass adventurer. The mentor announces firmly a full year of strict training. The student flinches. Another year of lessons. Could this be a sign? He steels himself, knowing this strain is normal and refusing her scorn. He's proud to stand as an adventurer without shame. She invited each newcomer to step forward and share their name and the magic or skills they wield. Rage insists he's a swordsman, not a mage, boasting he defeated an ogre with meteor fall. His opponent readies, wary of his skill. Ruel declared her skill in ice magic and noted many only do the bare minimum. Mimi Marlena apologized for having no talents. She confesses she's no good at talking to people. A thought condemns her as disgraceful. Now then she declares her turn. Leon Forres introduced herself as the younger sister of the advanced adventurer Sarah Forres. Adventurers murmured in curiosity. They flee as the cockatrice escapes Sarah's sister, who boasts she trapped it with her blade, proving her sword skill outshines magic. Shifa stands before empty desks, the only one left. Unashamed as an adventurer, he names himself and seeks his special skill. He exclaims storage magic is his best skill, then notes his sister taught him, and only she could beat him at it. A hush falls as they all ask what storage magic is. He smiles and says his sister taught him this magic. One demands to know what storage magic is as another boasts it is the secret weapon, and a third scoffs that he can at least use it. Silence grips her as she stares back. Another voice trembles, wow, wow, wow. She huffs, mocks his storage magic, scolds him for being here, and mourns she'll be late without her own magic. He calls her sister a fool for teaching such a simple storage spell. She turns, eyes wide, demanding he take it back. He demanded she take back her insult to his sister. She snarled she refuses to obey anyone weaker than herself. The commander claps and launches the mock battle she had planned. A knight steels himself, determined to protect his sister. One steps forward confidently, declaring she doesn't mind, while another huffs that of course she'll join in too. Two warriors face each other in the empty coliseum, tension crackling. He admits his insult but warns Sarah's blade will still hurt him. Though all expect defeat, he vows one strike for his sister. He remembers the girl who appraised him. noting her beauty rivals his sister's as she quietly asks his name. He calls her Shifa, but she corrects him it's alien. Ruel Ixt introduces herself, wishing him luck in the duel. The instructor explains no fatal or lasting harm magic and weapons allowed, no time limit, fight ends by surrender or impasse. He sensed her unshakable confidence and the crowd's awe, stronger than anyone her age. He proceeded with caution. She asks why he's unarmed. He says he's fine. She wonders if he doubts her. He explains he can summon any weapon instantly. Her sister Warren, drawing first, invites counter. Challenger smirks. No rule demands a weapon. She readies sound sword, ready to win. Her signal rings out and she launches forward, sword drawn, racing ahead with determined speed. She exhales sharply as onlookers gasp at her lightning speed and whisper, could this be the legendary sound sword? She lunges, testing her speed and declaring it's over and can't hold back. He hears every word, calm yet unsure she's held back. She reels back in shock. He sidesteps smoothly, unfazed. Now he unveils the results of his training with his sister. She teases that with that sword, he can handle anything. It's 3-part edge cuts, stabs, and punches. A truly versatile blade. She summons glowing magic circles before her, commanding them to come here. She grips the blade with steely resolve and calls holy sword as radiant light gathers around her. A colossal blade named Duran sweeps down, leaving onlookers frozen in shock. The knight leaps with a fierce cry while her companion shrieks as rocks rain down and panic screams fill the air. The arcane blast sails wide, the caster braces, refusing to yield. She refuses a draw, mocking an opponent only skilled in storage magic. Moments later, her breathless babble betrays her. She notes his storage magic wasn't ordinary. He dismisses it, explaining that his sister taught him simple storage magic. She explains storage magic is basic and open to anyone but demands concentration and imagination, and its difficulty depends on what you retrieve. Normal humans cannot wield legendary weapons, yet he unleashes ultra-speed storage super hard magic. Allies stare stunned. She smiles knowingly and confirms that, as far as she knows, only one person can use ultra-speed storage. Rose the War Maiden rings out. The group reels in disbelief as one recalls Rose is his sister's name. 4 exquisite adventurers roam continent. One is Rose, alien swapping weapons. Isn't that your sister? Kind top adventurer. Adventurer grades start at beginner, rise to intermediate, advanced, and global instructor. Proof of competence, authority, trust. She bore the title of humanity's guardian, wielding unmatched power and trust to conquer any deadly dungeon. She reminds her rival that her sister is outranked, then challenges her fierce defense of him despite claimed loathing. They reveal they are the fiancés promised to each other by their older sisters. The crowd gasps in disbelief. He realized she'd never known about her sister or even her engagement to Ruel. The recruit feels a soul-wrenching truth. Adventurers register but endure 4 deadly years in Flame Emperor's Valley for promotion. Watching the other trainees mock battles, she asked if his effort felt weak. He nodded, then she revealed his power was abnormal. An instructor warns that without control, a mock duel could turn deadly. The student wonders if his power has come to that point. Today he will live with her. He hesitates. His sister is on a demon hunt, and asked her to teach him about the outside world. She calmly guides him inside his room and points out the bath and the towel. He stumbles in, clutching linens in surprise. As the instructor says outdoor training starts tomorrow and urges him to get some sleep, the student replies, yes. He lies on his back, reaches up to the ceiling, voice soft as he admits he can't know what tomorrow might bring. A party of adventurers steps into the shadowed depths of Cardia West Forest. She hugged him tight and said, "Call me Ruel." He winced. "You're too close." Friends cried good morning. One praised her attitude. Morning begins with reluctant greetings. The instructor orders them to train as real adventurers. Cheers erupt, but he rules out dangerous monsters. They must subjugate as many monsters as possible in the forest west of Cardia, earning pay for each one. He notes that creatures of danger level 1 or 2 pose no threat, a routine challenge for any mid to high-level adventurer. He warns them not to venture deep into the forest. Undeterred, the team springs into action. She calls it right there. Ruel's ice magic is versatile and precise. He shrugs off guidance, then unleashes Meteor Break. He collects Ruel's trophies while conserving strength to stay unseen, doing the bare minimum for his sister. After defeating so many foes, the pair opt to turn back when a shout rings out a cockatrice has appeared. The group froze as a level 4 cockatrice emerged, far beyond the forest's usual level 1 or 2 threats. Confusion rippled. She handles the beast and sends the wounded to the instructor. He urges unity, fearing the injured won't survive. A lone mage lifts her staff against a winged beast, allies poise. She draws her sword, urging them to flee while she fights alone. One mourns Lean's presence changes nothing. A massive bird swoops toward the surprised group. beak agape and a roar. His eyes widen when he realizes the air is poison. She warns him not to breathe it, prompting him to ask who is arrogant now. She cries out in despair, sword raised. A companion reels in shock, then relief spreads as the poison finally disperses. She berates them as nuisances and orders them gone, then admits she spoke too much and recalls the warning about the cockatrice. Commander says they will evacuate the wounded and asks for plans to vow to stay together. One warns not to interfere, met with yes. Rule praises the woman's bold strength. She already exceeds intermediate power. It's late for praise. They can subjugate them. The heroes chase the steed. One vows she won't let it escape. Another urges them to stall it until the wounded can flee. They pause deep in the forest, awed by the beauty around them, and questioning how far they have journeyed. They pushed into the forbidden forest. One threatened to drag her home, but another vowed to tame the cockatrice here and now. A lone figure drifts amid the cavernous jaws of a looming horror. Three heroines stare in horror as a monstrous maw devours their ally. The beast reels as an arrow pierces its skull. The trio stands frozen. Her voice trembles as she calls Shifa. Panic rising, she cries, "They have to run, they have to run." She watched a colossal pterosaur, its massive form dwarfing her last foe. She wondered why level pterosaurs were here. She tells her friends to go home while she handles the beast. They cry out, frozen as prey. Leanne plunges in to subjugate the monster, telling her friends to retreat. When one hesitates, she argues they're in the way. Tension spikes as they remind her she has no chance, yet he raises his voice to force them from this place. She cried out, asking Shifa what he was doing as the magic seal flared around his hand. She snaps with a shaky edge for him to move. He judged her rude but learned something important today. Her arrogance reveals a good heart, ready to sacrifice herself to protect others. Leanne called her name and she hesitated, then recalled being raised by her sister's care and her words, "Even if you dislike people." He grips his blade and declares that anyone who isn't a bad person has a duty as an adventurer to protect others. She recalls her sister's warning that Takio's sword bears the Phantom Dragon King's soul. Its might overwhelms anyone too weak. A lone warrior stands resolute against a towering demon engulfed in flames. An apocalyptic creature's face erupts in a whirlwind of chaotic energy. A warrior raises his heavy sword and strikes with fierce determination. Heroes charge with raised sword against the towering dark demon. A massive beast charges through exploding rock toward two distant figures. Rubble smolders as two warriors catch their breath. One groans disbelief. "No way," then the other exclaims, "Shifa, that was amazing." He reached out, teasing the arrogant woman about her reddened cheeks. She feared returning late and the instructor's wrath. He teases the arrogant knight that he'd rather she pressed on with his help than linger. She hesitates, glancing up in surprise. He offers her a hand, urging a brief rest before they move on. Surprised, she hesitates, then blushes, calling herself Leanne. He blinks in surprise at Leanne's name. A friend offers help, but Leanne insists she can stand on her own. It feels resolved. After the battle with the pterosaur, the party regroups and presses onward through the forest beneath the fading light. She reminded them, in addition to the cockatrice, that's what he said, then confessed she had run from the pterosaur too. Sister insisted on easy dragon kills. He bested a pterosaur. Trained by her, he helped and owes her thanks. Leanne acts odd. The instructor ends the lesson and orders return to town. They cheer yes. He then tells them to follow him, earning puzzled looks. Before Cardia Adventurers Guild, one gaped, calling it a sanctuary. One teased a first-timer, another scolded such excitement. She admires her sister's peers. Yolnia is warned cockatrice lurks in western forest and teased over her bird mix-up. There's more. Yelena Igraine rushed in to announce they had stumbled on a pterosaur deep in the western forest, and everyone froze in disbelief. He vows to reveal proof, urging Shifa. She hesitates. He accuses trickery in her supposed defeat. The instructor saw through it. A massive dragon tail unfurls before the stunned adventurers. A clerk hurries down, pledging to call the manager. They note Shifa's keen mind. Shifa holds back, asking about the reward. Onlookers reel in disbelief as news spreads that one girl defeated the foe with a lone pterosaur fragment. He realized this was not normal, and wondered why a pterosaur would be in the western forest and whether it posed a problem. Trouble looms as a pterosaur appears in the western forest and a phoenix appears in the distance. She stands tall and declares the world peaceful and quiet, leaving her friends wide-eyed and speechless. Adventurers stare in surprise at a young girl. Another warns it's a sacred place for adventurers and asks if she's lost. They burst into laughter, praising him for calling the branch manager a kid, while Shifa quietly notes an interesting child. Shifa freezes as a voice explains this is Lady Kana, branch manager of Chaldea's Adventurers Association, and insists on an apology. She apologizes for her earlier rudeness, and her companion nods in understanding. She recalled the situation from Urena and mused over the danger waiting in the western forest of cockatrices and pterosaurs. She warned of monsters appearing in forbidden places. She knows the culprit and announced a countermeasure likely from afar. She speaks to Phoenix, pointing out this existence lies within demons and magical beasts' domain and must have caused change. Phoenix is designated a dangerous level 20 mythical beast. They marvel as the trainee subjugates a pterosaur with ease. She asks his name, he says Shifa alien, and she's stunned. He's Rose's brother. She offers to care for him if he quits training. She teased him for using the branch manager to make his sister obey, doubting Rose would forgive. He'd never seen her at work. She recalls that Rose is her sister and wonders if her adventuring is a bit problematic, yet admits her strength is undeniable. He learns that the Union appointed his sister to face the Phoenix. She must have received the request by now. He is stunned, really. Odd, drifting above the capital, one voice trembles, my sister, then another cries, who the hell are you? Townsfolk stop and stare as an armored figure strides through the empty street. An armored elf strides through the bustling town, heads turning in awe. She exhales and admits it took her much longer than she thought. At the Royal Capital Adventurers Guild, a hero snaps, don't screw with me, then demands a Phoenix hunt request only to be refused. The Union side has acted against the Phoenix, but chasing monsters may delay aid, and more young adventurers died again today. She watched in dismay as one insisted he was busy and would talk later, another stammered, then someone shot a puzzled A. Witnesses reel as the real hero enters the capital. She tamed Phantom Dragon King and bears a strange chest mark as one collapses. A voice calls Rose alien. She blinks in surprise and nervously asks what she can do for them today. She reports the subjugation request fulfilled, having slain the high-level military dragon herself. Gasps echo at her feet. She shrugs off his words with so what. The crowd gasps that he would speak to the war maiden famed for hating men. Rose reveals a 2 million cell reward, then directs it to Cardia's training center in Shifa Alien. A startled aide calls after her as she departs. The messenger appears with a black envelope from the Adventurers Guild addressed to Rose Alien, the greatest adventurer. A commission arrives, charging her with repelling the Phoenix. The instant she opened the letter, she had to depart at once. The officer's expression turned serious as he warned the repelling mission's difficulty was labeled extreme. She mourns missing Shifa and tells the guard to inform the Union. Before the level 20 Phoenix, she hesitates, then decides to use it. The exquisite adventurer demands a designated party from the guild and orders Shaim Iniabel and Sarah Forrest to be summoned. He agreed without hesitation. Onlookers gaped at two adventurers summoned, and her title as War Maiden. She feared death. She begs pardon to rush off and meet Shifa, then beams happily that she can't wait to see her. Shifa is urged to ignore the Phoenix and train for everyone. A survey mission will map how it has changed monster habitats.